Okay, then I'll define, my dear students. What is poetry? Please pay attention. Poetry is a fine art like life, it is indefinable. That means it cannot be defined easily. Every poet has defined the poetry in different manner and different way according to their style of writing poetry. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible to all of you? मेरी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है आप सबको?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So poetry is a fine art. Like life, it is indefinable. It is something airy and vague, but thrilling. To describe poetry in words is to attempt the impossible. But remember, the word impossible is written in the dictionary of fools. We are the students of English literature. Nothing is impossible for us. We'll make every impossible works to be possible. So to describe it in words is to attempt the impossible. One can at best point out some of its important elements, and these elements are emotions, imagination, and music. So these are the three very important things: emotions, imaginations, and music. The poetry means three things: the art of the poet. Second is the essential quality of a poem. What is second quality? Essential quality of a poem. Third is literature in verse or rhythm. You can see all this thing in your MBB college website also. You go to the English department, and when you go to the English department, and if you feel when you type the Dr. Baburam Swami, you'll find these notes. So if you want to note down, you can note down. Otherwise, you can get these notes and get it print out from there also. And I have already given you the link. S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge defined prose as words in the best order. But poetry, what he says about the poetry? Samuel Taylor Coleridge, poetry as the best words in the best order. What is that? The best words in the best order. Please share the link with your friends also, because I find only 21 students have joined, whereas you are 40. William Wordsworth attempted an equally apt definition when he said, I hope, my dear students, you have read the poem, The Solitary Reaper. Did you read the poem, Solitary Reaper, Jadip? Ulka? Any one of you? No. So, in the poem, what the poet William Wordsworth was going to Scotland. On the way, he saw a girl singing a song and reaping and cutting the grains or the corn. So immediately he looked at the girl and he said, behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. It means his heart was filled with emotions. His heart was filled with emotions, and that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of the powerful emotions, powerful feelings. So that emotions came out from his heart, and he wrote a poem named Solitary Reaper. So poetry is the spontaneous overflow of the powerful feelings and emotions recollected in tranquility. He also wrote another poem. The name of the poem is The Daffodils, or I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. In the poem The Daffodils, he is saying that in the last stanza, when on my couch do I lie, that flashes on my inward eye, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils, and dances with the daffodils. Here, my dear, my students, here what he is saying, is trying to communicate that poetry is emotions recollected in tranquility. For example, if you listen all the very good lectures in delivered by your teachers, or all very good things taught by your parents, or every good means other good things given by your friends, then you keep on, when you go to sleep in the night, and if you start thinking for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes about all the happening, what happened throughout the day, and when you start imagining, that means the poetry is emotions recollected in tranquility. P.B. Shelley also wrote the definition of poetry. He says, poetry is the best and the happiest moment of the best and the happiest mind. সবাই তো কবিতা লিখতে পারবেন না। যারা সবসময় খুশি থাকে, আনন্দ থাকে তারা, বা দুঃখী থাকে তারাই কবিতা লিখতে পারবেন। হিন্দিতে একটা খুব ভালো লাইন আসে, वियोगी होगा पहला कवि, आहा से उपजा होगा गान, किसी निर्जन हृदय से छुपकर बही होगी कविता अनजान. It means the poetry comes out when you are in the happiest moment or when you are in the saddest moment. P.B. Shelley also says that we look before and after and pine for what is not our sincere laughter. Our sweetest songs are those that tell us saddest thought. So ये कविता P.B. Shelley की है. Now Dr. Johnson says, poetry is the art of uniting pleasure into the truth by calling imagination to the help of reason. Poetry is the art of uniting pleasure into the truth. सच्चाई में आनंद को भर देना ही कविता है. What he's saying, that poetry is the art of uniting pleasure into the truth by calling imagination to the help of reason. Theodore Watts-Renton says, poetry is the concrete and artistic expression of the human mind in emotional and rhythmic language. जब हम अपने मन की बातें खुशी होकर गाकर आनंद से सुनाते हैं, तो that means the poetry is the concrete and artistic expression of human mind in emotional and rhythmic language. Matthew Arnold, dear students, Matthew Arnold says poetry is simply the most beautiful, impressive, and widely effective mode of saying things, and hence its importance. He also said poetry is the criticism of life. What is poetry? According to Matthew Arnold, poetry is the criticism of life. कविता जीवन की आलोचना करने का काम ही कविता है. This is what he's saying. So I would like to say further, Carlyle says poetry is musical thought. Poetry is musical thought. Pope says poetry is what oft was thought but never so well expressed. बहुत बार सोचा गया लेकिन कभी कह नहीं पाए. So that poetry means what oft was thought, we thought of many times but we could not express in front of our friends or in front of our parents or in front of our teachers. So whatever we thought, so what oft was thought but never so well expressed. As we think, we could not say those things. Shelley also says the poetry is the record of the best minds. Poetry makes immortal all that is best and most beautiful in the world. And William Shakespeare, जिनके बारे में आज हम बात करने जा रहे हैं, the greatest dignity or personality or the treasure of every house, William Shakespeare defines poetry. Poetry is the treasure house of precious thought. ये बेशकीमती विचारों का खजाना है कविता. Poetry is the treasure house of precious thought. Now there are the two kinds of poetry. कितने तरह की होती है पोएट्री? दो तरह की हैं. नंबर 1 subjective poetry and number 2 objective poetry. When one describes about his or her own feelings and experiences or the thoughts and the feelings of some personality which he or she had best for the time being, the poetry is called subjective. যখন আমরা আমার নিজের মনের ব্যথা বা মনের প্রশান্তার কথা বলছি, সে সময় হচ্ছে subjective poetry. Lyric, ode, sonnet, elegy, song, him are examples of subjective poetry. There's one more, objective poetry. You'll be learning, I'll be teaching you. Paradise Lost is objective poetry. It is an epic which makes you very powerful. We may be weak by fate and time, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. And Matthew Arnold says, poetry is to justify the wage of God to man. He says poetry is able to decide what is right and what is wrong. So, my dear students, you must be able to decide what is right and what is wrong. सही क्या है, गलत क्या है, उसका भेद करना आपको आना चाहिए. When poet plays the part of an onlooker and describes the thought and experiences of his character is called objective poetry. In other words, when the poet describes events or deeds which happen to others without revealing his personal feelings, we have objective poetry. All epics which relate to the exploits of a great hero, all ballads which tell stories of the verse, all narrative poems which relate tales, and all descriptive poems which are forms of objective poetry. Now we come back to our main objective of learning is sonnet. What is a sonnet? A sonnet is a lyric poem. What is a sonnet? It is a lyric poem
Or it is a
of 14 lines that may be composed in one of the several conventional rhyme schemes. The sonnet form came into the English language through Sir Thomas Yat and Earl of Surrey. Generally speaking, sonnets are written in iambic pentameter as early as 1575. George Gascoigne described the sonnet form in the following manner. Sonnets are of 14 lines, every line containing 10 syllables. So how many syllables are there in every line of sonnet? 10 syllables. How many lines are there in Shakespearean sonnet? 14 lines. The first 12 so rhyme in the stanza of 4 lines by cross meters, and the last 2 rhymes together to conclude the whole. The 3 most popular sonnets forms in English are. So William Shakespeare sonnets में 3 stanza होते हैं. There are 3 stanzas in William Shakespeare sonnets. 3 stanzas. And in those 3 stanzas, William Shakespeare is talking about that it's a 4-line each. The 3 most popular sonnets forms in English are the Petrarchan sonnets, the Shakespearean sonnets, and the Spenserian sonnet. The Petrarchan sonnet is divided into 2 stanza, an octave rhyming ABBA, ABBA, and a sestet rhyming CD, CD. It is a form perfected by Petrarch in which 14 line sonnet is divided into an octave and a sestet. Octave means octave means a stanza of 8 lines. Sestet means a stanza of 6 lines. The Shakespearean sonnets have 3 quatrains and a couplet rhyming AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, and GG. William Shakespeare sonnets also have 14 lines, but there are not 2 stanza, there are 3 stanza and 1 couplet. COUPLET. Couplet means go. Ulka, please close your voice. I am getting the background voice from your house. Ulka Dash. So, my dear students, the sonnets have the 3 quatrains and a couplet rhyming AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, and GG. The next is the Spenserian sonnets also have the 3 quatrains and a couplet, but the rhyme scheme is AB, AB, BC, BC, CD, CD, EE, which is not being asked now. Now we come back to the sonnet, which we are going to learn today. So this is a poem. We have learnt one essay of Francis Bacon. Today we are learning a poem, and these 2 may be asked in your internal examination. So you must learn both of these by heart. The Shakespearean sonnets have 3 quatrains and a couplet rhyming AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, and GG. This sonnet is 116 and it is written by William Shakespeare. Now, my dear students, I asked you or want to tell you one very important thing, that you have qualified your 12th examination and schooling is no more there. And most of you might be in now 18 years of age, 17 past 18. And because of that, you have become now adult. You're coming to the college. I want my students to be justification oriented. You should judge everything. Coming to the college, you should not feel that you have come to the college and you can do whatever you want to do. This is wrong. It should not be. So, this poem enables you to be a perfect personality in the field of love. This poem is about William Shakespeare and his girlfriend, Dark Lady. Dark Lady was Mary Fitton. Mary Fitton and William Shakespeare used to write the poems, and Mary Fitton used to sing those songs. Since it is a lyric, means it is a song. William Shakespeare used to write the songs, and melodiously, harmoniously, Mary Fitton, the Dark Lady, used to sing those songs. William Shakespeare has written 154 sonnets. This is sonnet number 116. So, this is prescribed in your course to make you to be perfect, not the person like a wandering soul from one person to another, one personality to another personality. That is not. So pay attention what I'm saying or what William Shakespeare wants to teach us. William Shakespeare is striving to teach us something very good, and that, my dear students, should be borne in mind throughout the life. अगर हम पढ़ते हैं और पढ़ने के बाद अपने जीवन में नहीं उतारते हैं तो देयर इज़ नो यूज़ ऑफ इट, बिकॉज वी मस्ट हैव द नॉलेज. वॉट एवर वी लर्न, वी गेट द नॉलेज. On the basis of the knowledge, we understand. Suppose now I am giving you some information. That information is becoming knowledge for you. That today I have defined the poetry of William Shakespeare. Poetry of William Shakespeare says it's a treasure of precious thought, and Wordsworth says spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So I've given you information. That information has become your thought, and because of that thought, that comes your, means indirectly it is your knowledge. Now you must understand it, you must comprehend it, and you must have the competitive spirit for it. William Shakespeare says to Mary Fitton, my dear Mary Fitton, or the Dark Lady, let me not to the marriage of true minds. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. Admit impediments. Admit impediments means there will be a lot of troubles, lot of tensions, lot of worries on the way in our life, but we must be truthful, sincere, devoted, dedicated, dutiful to each other. If you are studying today and you love your study, then you must be truthful, sincere, devoted, dedicated to your study, to your books. You should not cheat yourself. अपने आप से आत्मप्रवंचना नहीं करेंगे. You should not cheat your parents. You should not cheat your parents. You should not cheat yourself. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. Admit impediments. There will be a lot of troubles, tensions, worries in your study also. But you should not be afraid of that. You must be brave, bold, powerful enough. He says, whatever the way, if you love your parents, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your state, Tripura, your college, your government, or whoever it is, XYZ, you must have that spirit after understanding. Love is not the love which alters when it alteration finds. The true love for the college, the true love for the English honors, the true love for the subject, the true love for the mummy, the true love for the father, it should be permanent. It should not be able to change and alter. Which alters when alteration finds. Even if it is for the boyfriend, you should not keep on changing your boyfriends also. So let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not the love which alters when it alteration finds, or bands with the remover to remove. And if somebody wants to remove, you should not remove that. Why? Why so? Why he is saying so? Why William Shakespeare is saying so to the dark lady, to the Mary Fitton? It's saying, my dear friend Mary Fitton, my dear friend dark lady, or no, it is an ever fixed mark. It is an ever fixed mark. So what is an ever fixed mark? The true love is an ever fixed mark. अगर माँ त्रिपुरेश्वरी की तस्वीर आपके हृदय में बनी है तो यू मस्ट रेस्पेक्ट योर मदर गॉडेस त्रिपुरेश्वरी. इफ यू आर वर्शिपर ऑफ Loknath Baba, the Loknath Baba should remain in your heart. If you are the worshipper of the Lakshmi Narayan should be in your heart. And if you love your mother, the mother should be there in your heart. Her image should be there always. If you love your father's image should be always there. It should not vary and alter at interval. Which alters when its alteration finds. If you find something better and you change, no, it should not be. Or bands with the remover to remove. If you want to take eraser and erase it, it should not be. You should not erase it with the eraser. That looks on tempest and is never shaken. It is an ever fixed mark. जो एक बार दिल में बस गया, छप गया, उसको हटाना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. Or it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempest and is never shaken. And you have to understand, if it is true, ये तूफानों से भी नहीं डरेगा. That looks on tempest and is never shaken. Or it will be like lighthouse in the sea. As in the sea, the lighthouse keep on showing the way. Same way your parents keep on showing you the true way and the true path. Your teacher will also be able to will be showing you the true path. And the same way, if you have the right person selected by you on the basis of the region, logic, and understanding on all parameters, then your life partner will also be able to show you the true and faithful path. Or no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempest and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark. So what is the star to every wandering bark? जैसे चंद्रमा पेड़ के बीच में पत्तियां हिलने के बाद भी एक जगह दिखाई देता रहता है, the same way the one, the very highly spirited, will also keep on showing you the true path. He or she will not try to destroy your life. So you have to be careful in judgment. Or no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempest like lighthouse and is never shaken. और कभी हिलता नहीं है, मिटाए नहीं मिटता है. रिमूव करने की कोशिश करोगे, रिमूव भी नहीं होगा. It cannot be erased. It cannot be removed. It cannot be cut. It is the star to every wandering bark. When you find yourself that you don't find any way and your life is full of troubles and the worries and tensions and you are not able to decide, then your true love, your true teacher, your true parents, your true personal person, whoever is there, will be able to show you the right path, will not let you be a wandering soul in this world, whose worth is unknown. Whose worth is unknown, its height, although its height be taken. उसकी कीमत तो पता नहीं है, unknown है, but you can reach to that heights. You can find out, you can judge with your reason, with your logic, with your understanding, but you must have, as I told you in Francis Bacon essay last time, read not to contradict, read not to confute, but to consider and weigh. दिल की तराजू पर तोलो what is right and what is wrong. Then only put your step forward, otherwise, no. Whose worth is unknown, although its height be taken, love is not time's fool. Some people come to the college and say, "Sir, it's our time pass." What is this bloody time pass? I don't agree to this. There should not be this kind of time pass. Love is not the time pass. It is not time's fool. The rosy lips and rosy cheeks. You should not just see a boy or a girl and just started running behind. William Shakespeare say it's not for that, because she has a dark lady and dark eyes. Dark lady has a dark eyes. Mary Whitton has the dark eyes, and he says it is not time's fool. The rosy lips and cheeks, within his bending sickles the compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks. It does not change because of time. It does not change because of place. It does not change because of action. So दिन महीने साल कभी भी बदले, कभी भी कितने भी गुजरते जाएं, लेकिन ये नहीं बदलता है. दिन महीने साल कितने भी गुजरते चले जाएं, एक सच्चा व्यक्ति, सच्चा साथी, सच्ची भावना कभी भी नहीं मरती है. सत्यम शिवम सुंदरम. Beauty is truth and truth is beauty. That's all you need to know. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Love alters not with his brief hours. ये कुछ महीनों के लिए, कुछ घंटों के लिए नहीं होता है. Brief weeks, कुछ सप्ताह के लिए नहीं होता है. But bears it even to the edge of doom. The true love shall remain forever. It will not go. It will not be erased. It will not be cut, erased, or removed. It shall remain permanent in your heart. You cannot forget. But bears it out even to the edge of doom. And then, my dear students, William Shakespeare says, if this be an error and upon me proved, if any one of my dear students can justify, if any one of you can justify and say, "Sir, this is an error, I have broken many," then William Shakespeare say, if this be an error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Then he says, I did not write anything. আমি কখনো কিছু লিখিনি. আমি 37 প্লে লিখিনি. আমি 154 sonnets লিখিনি. আমি কিছু লিখিনি. He is saying that if any one of the person of the world can justify and say that whatever William Shakespeare has written in these 40 lines, this is wrong, and can justify that this is wrong, then he says, I did not write anything. And on this earth, nobody has loved to anybody. So, my dear student, this is the explanations of these 14 lines. The rhyme scheme of first 4 lines is A, B, like minds A and love B, finds A, then remove B. Again, the second 4 lines, mark C and shaken D, bark C and taken D, and then shakes E and come F, weeks E or doom F, and last is GG because proved and loved. So this is this sonnet sequence. Sonnet enjoyed immense popularity with Elizabethan and writers, but fell out of favor after Milton. Interest in sonnet was revived during the Romantic period. Since then, the form has continued to be popular and has been the focus of considerable experiments. Sonnet is a gradual sense of short poem of 40 lines with a special arrangement for rhymes. Its lines are nearly always in iambic pentameter. It treats usually one thought or emotion mostly related to love. A sonnet is generally written in iambic pentameter. Shakespearean sonnets written by William Shakespeare are known as Shakespearean sonnets. Like the Petrarchan and Shakespearean sonnets, Shakespearean sonnets are composed of 14 lines. The sonnets are composed of 3 quatrains A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and couplet G, G. The rhyme scheme of Shakespearean sonnet is, as I told you, A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and G, G. The theme of the sonnets written are based on love theme for their nature-based sonnets. So, in this Shakespearean sonnets, the theme is remarkably different from that is found in the conventional Petrarchan Spensian sonnets. The basic theme of the Shakespearean sonnet is of love. Shakespeare's sonnet is addressed to his friend, possibly the Earl of Southampton, people say, but this is for of the following conventional law theme. The sonnets advertisement friendship and try to preserve his was his sonnets are addressed to a dark lady whose identity is mysterious. Shakespeare's that lady is not beautiful and kind but dark and cruel, and his emphasis is laid not on her beauty and loyalty but on her women fidelity. In Shakespearean sonnets, the subject is stated and developed in the quatrain and summed up in the concluding couplet. So, my dear students, this is what